Texas Mass Shooting 2026. The day Midland was thrown into chaos. On the morning of June 12, 2026, residents of Midland, Texas, woke up expecting an ordinary day. People were heading to work, students were preparing for their daily routines, and businesses were opening their doors. But within a matter of minutes, that peaceful morning would turn into a scene of fear and confusion that would shock the entire community. Shortly after the day began, reports of gunfire started flooding emergency dispatch centers. Witnesses described hearing multiple shots and seeing people running for cover. What initially seemed like an isolated incident quickly escalated into a citywide emergency. Police officers rushed to the scene as terrified residents desperately tried to understand what was happening around them. According to authorities, the suspect was identified as Victor Mata Villarreal, a 45-year-old man from Odessa, Texas. Investigators revealed that he had previously come to the attention of law enforcement and was reportedly wanted in connection with an earlier incident involving a police officer. As details emerged, questions began to grow about what had led to this violent confrontation. As the shooting unfolded, panic spread throughout the area. Businesses locked their doors, employees sheltered inside offices, and drivers abandoned their vehicles in search of safety. Emergency alerts urged residents to avoid the area while heavily armed law enforcement officers worked to locate and contain the suspect. The uncertainty created a tense atmosphere across the city as people followed updates through news reports and social media. The situation became even more dramatic when the suspect barricaded himself inside a building. Law enforcement quickly established a perimeter around the location, bringing in specialized tactical units to assist with the operation. Helicopters circled overhead, while officers took strategic positions around the property. For hours, residents watched anxiously as the standoff continued, unsure of how the situation would end. As negotiations and tactical efforts continued, the city remained on edge. Families stayed glued to their televisions and mobile phones, hoping for positive news. Every update seemed to raise more questions than answers. Authorities worked carefully to prevent further casualties while trying to bring the dangerous situation to a peaceful conclusion. Eventually, the standoff came to an end. Officials later confirmed that the suspect had died during the confrontation with law enforcement. However, by that point, the damage had already been done. One person lost their life, and several others suffered injuries. Emergency medical teams worked tirelessly to treat the wounded and transport victims to nearby hospitals. In the hours following the attack, investigators began piecing together the timeline of events. Crime scene units collected evidence, interviewed witnesses, and searched for clues that could explain the motive behind the shooting. While authorities released some information, many questions remained unanswered as the investigation continued. The tragedy left a deep impact on the Midland community. Vigils and prayer services were organized to honor the victims and support their families. Local leaders expressed their condolences and praised the bravery of first responders who risked their lives during the crisis. Community members came together to help those affected and to begin the long process of healing. For many residents, June 12, 2026 will be remembered as one of the darkest days in Midland's recent history. What started as a normal morning quickly turned into a nightmare that no one could have imagined. The incident serves as a reminder of how rapidly lives can change and how communities must come together in the aftermath of tragedy. As investigators continue searching for answers, one question remains at the center of the case. What drove Victor Mata Villarreal to carry out an act that left an entire city shaken? Until that question is fully answered, the story of the Midland mass shooting will remain one of the most disturbing crime cases of 2026.